Hello, I'm Scott Stevens, Goldsboro City's manager. I want to give you a brief update on some of the things that are going on within the city of Goldsboro and some of the projects that we may have talked about before, but we've talked about a lot the last month, and I think you'll hear some more about in the coming months. Before I get too far, I do want to talk about our employees. We've got a great group of dedicated employees, over 440 of us, full-time positions here with the city of Goldsboro. And they really are out to serve you on a daily basis. And I'll share at least one recent compliment we received on one of our police officers who issued a citation to a gentleman's daughter who was in an accident. But the compliment was the officer handled that situation in such a professional and polite and pleasant manner that although his daughter was issued a citation, he really thought it was a great learning experience for the kids involved. We have a lot of employees like that, and I do want to commend that officer and thank that citizen for sharing that experience with us. I do want to talk about expectations for myself and all city employees. Really four things. Safety first. We want to look after us and you, so that's important on both sides of safety. Second is to do what we say we will do. If we tell you we're going to do something, we ought to take care of it, and if not, we ought to tell you why we can't. And expect that from us. If we tell you we're going to do it, expect that. We ought to act professionally at all times, and we have a lot of different roles, so professional means a lot of different things, but you ought to be proud that we're city employees, and please, as you see areas where we're doing that well, share them with us. And when you see areas where we can improve, I hope you'll share that with me as well. And then the final thing I've asked of all of us as city employees to treat everyone with respect. And I think we try. Some days we're better than others, but please know those are expectations. Safety, do what we say we will do, act professionally, and to treat each other with respect. We've also dedicated a number of hours and money towards customer service training for all of our employees. And of our 400 and some employees, we put 360 through 2 hours of customer service training, most of which had never had any type of training like that. And so it was, I think, a good experience for our employees. We had some good feedback from them as well as from our trainer, and we hope to do some more of that. We are targeting an additional 30 employees who have a little more one-on-one interaction with the community for 12 hours of customer service training, a little more intensive over the next 3 or 4 months. So I hope we'll improve on what you see from our employees on a daily basis as we go forward. We spend a lot of time with the city and county and our county commissioners and city council working to protect the interests of Seymour Johnson, and so that is almost always an update for us or an activity for us. And this past several months, I hope you've heard, but we spent a lot of time working with our MAC committee, chamber members, business leaders, and other counties throughout the state talking about windmills, and in particular the Pantego project, where the intent was to locate windmills that are almost 500 feet tall into our low-level training route between Seymour Johnson and the Dare County bombing range. That is a significant threat to the military installation here in Goldsboro and Wayne County, and we spent a lot of time politically and otherwise trying to make sure that that project doesn't have an impact or a negative impact on our pilots and our aircraft here at Seymour Johnson Air Force Base. Very important, but an area that we spend a lot of time and certainly would ask for your support in opposing the windmills in the area that would impact our military training facilities. There's also an effort going on in eastern North Carolina called Planet East, looking at where we would put another 1 million people that are projected to be in the eastern 9 counties, really from Wayne County down to Onslow, or the Goldsboro to Jacksonville area. Where would we put these 1 million people? Where would their jobs likely be? Where would they likely live? And there was an effort to bring all members from these 9 counties, or many members, into one location in late October, which we did. Almost 300 of us that came together and put on maps where we think people will live. And so I think you'll hear information about the results of that. I know that's going on with a chamber-sponsored event this week in Wayne County, but it'll be going on throughout eastern North Carolina in the coming months. So please pay attention to that and to see if you agree with maybe what we'll look like in the year 2050. That was the intent of that exercise, of where we think we would see development. And I will tell you, in every map or every table that I saw, Wayne County had a significant increase in population, or at least an expectation of that, through the year 2050. We've talked a lot over the past months about violence in our community. That continues to be important to us, to reduce the violence in our community. The last 4 to 6 weeks have been much better in Goldsboro, so we're proud of that. But I don't want to tell you that we've changed much. We are still working hard at the efforts it takes to prevent violent activities. So as you see things in the community that don't look right, please don't hesitate to call. It's important to share that information with us. We still are using our mobile command center. We still have resources that are out there in our community-oriented policing, so you ought to see some of that. The behind-the-scene approach is really this more targeted approach we've talked about, and will lead to something called a call-in, where we bring in maybe the 20 worst offenders in our community based on their history and their criminal record, and we really work to give them another opportunity, one last chance to change their life and stop the violence in the community. It has been extremely successful in other parts of our state, and we have dedicated the resources to make that happen here in Goldsboro as well. I hope our first call-in will begin in early 2014, the January-February timeframe, and we'll keep you posted on how we are progressing with that. But again, I don't want you to think just because it's been better in terms of violence in the community over the last 4 weeks that we have changed. We are still very much aware, very much focused on the long-term goal of reducing violence within our community. That's continues to be very important to us. We have a couple long-range plans that are going on and have been going on. Our land use master plan, which really looking at zoning and where we would expect development to occur in and around Goldsboro. I think you'll hear the findings of that and the recommendations of that, and our city council will be asked to adopt that plan, and it will show where we expect different types of development or would like for different types of development to go in the future. So that is coming to a conclusion, and we will see presentations or read about presentations as we present those to our city council. We also have a recreation master plan that's been underway through the last several months as well. We have had a draft report presented to our Recreation Advisory Commission and our city council in November. I think you'll see a final report come out of that, which will begin in late November, early December in terms of the report. And it identifies over $6 million in needs throughout our parks and recreation facilities, in addition to many millions for greenways and trails. And so those things will not all be short-term, but it at least gives us an idea of importance to the community and where you would like things within our park system. And so you'll hear more of that in the coming months. When we talk projects in the city of Goldsboro and things that are needed from capital improvement, we talk about our 10-year plan historically, and we have identified over the next 10 years over $50 million of needs that are replacements, building improvements, new facilities, things of that nature. We are converting this 10-year plan that didn't really talk about funding sources into a capital improvement plan. And it will incorporate our recreation master plan projects as well as other projects throughout city departments, but it'll tie them to what we hope will be an achievable goal of in this year you would do this much, in this year you would do this much, and it would talk about dollars, projects, and also potential funding sources. Because without the funding to do it, whether they're grants or loans or current revenues, it's hard to move a project forward. And so we want to make sure we give you a realistic approach of what we're trying to do with that. And our capital improvement plan will likely be presented to our city council at the retreat in February. So we have a few months to go in that, but as you're hearing about projects and needs and money, we're well aware of limited resources and trying to prioritize those projects. So we really do give the community what they want and what we believe they need first. So we'll work through that, and any input you have as we go through that or questions, please don't hesitate to talk with us. We have a number of active projects, some of which you've heard over the several months, some maybe not so much, but I thought I'd give you an update on those that we have talked about at least recently and that I think we'll see some action on in the coming months. The Air Force Museum project. You know, I will tell you this is a project that the city continues to be heavily criticized by our local news media, and I think that's unfortunate. I think the city council and the mayor have worked hard to go through a legitimate process of analyzing and researching and evaluating this project and its merits for our community. We've had great guidance by a group of committed volunteer citizens who have had an interest in the project. We've hired very good consultants who are experts in museum planning to guide us and not just throw something together, but if we were to pursue the Air Force Museum, that we would have a quality product and not just something that is short-term and only serves a limited time. We will have display boards that talk about this project at City Hall and the Public Library at the end of November. We'll have a final presentations from our consultants that talk about the project that include cost information, operating expenses, types of exhibits, who might attend, and fees we might charge. And at the end of that, you'll see in the numbers we have shared with our city council, it's almost an $8 million project to build it. And that is a significant amount of money and is a significant concern. I think the project will not likely proceed without private donations. And they may be there or they may not be there today, but they would serve in the future. And this document that comes from this study will be information we can use in years to come. And I think it would reflect the Air Force Museum, our proud heritage in partnership with Seymour Johnson, and honor those that have served in our armed forces. So I think there is value in the museum, but I'm not at a point to tell you I think it will move forward with city funding alone. And I think our mayor and council have said that from the beginning. We would be seeking private sources and others that have an interest in moving it forward as well. Street resurfacing, not an immediate project, but I get regular questions on hey, when are you going to resurface my street? And I just want to remind you, we do have $600,000 planned for this year to be spent by July. We have a list of streets that we had shared with City Council several months ago. We will update that list with them in February timeframe with the idea of going to the actual contract with that beginning in the March timeframe with hope of finishing that resurfacing in early spring. So $600,000 is a lot of money. It won't go terribly far in street resurfacing, but we will get several miles out of the way, and I hope that you'll see those benefits in the coming months. So we do have streets that are set aside or at least listed to be resurfaced. It won't get them all that need it, but it is a good start and a continuation of ongoing maintenance of our street system. We've talked about the Berkeley Boulevard widening project. We continue to put right-of-way acquisition cost in front of our City Council and continue to close on right-of-way, which is the city's part of that project. We're spending almost $1 million to acquire the right-of-way from Royal Avenue to New Hope Road to make improvements along all of it, but to widen the entire stretch to 4 lanes, so that should help at least some traffic in that area. And then the Department of Transportation will spend their money in the construction, and that could be under construction as early as the spring of 2014, 2013, but we hope that'll come sooner than later, and the city should wind up its right-of-way acquisition in the next several months. Stoney Creek Park, we've had a lot of effort and a lot of volunteers over the years and many man-hours put into that park. The city did receive a PARTEF grant a couple of years ago, and you will see the final results of that in terms of shelters being built. We have 2 shelters planned and bathroom facilities, some improvements to the entranceways and some stone archways. I think it'll be very attractive into the park and sort of be the finishing touches on Stoney Creek Park. And again, some paving of the existing trail system with whatever grant funding is available. And so that is, you should see, January timeframe should be completed, and then we will have a park dedication beyond that. I do want to say thank you to the numerous volunteers, and I don't want to list them all. There have been a lot of people who have donated time, their land, and money, and other efforts towards improvements of the park, and I do want to say thank you to that. And I do want to give a special thank you to our Stoney Creek Alliance, who's been a group of committed volunteers who have worked for many, many years to sort of guide the efforts and improvements in Stoney Creek Park. And I think they have created a nice amenity for our community. A project we've talked about an awful lot throughout this year has been our Streetscape Project in downtown on Center Street. We've had the street closed since May, or mid-May. Daniels & Daniels has worked very hard at trying to get this project open for the Veterans Day parade time frame, and I think they're going to make that. The finishing touches are going on. This project is coming in below budget, so we don't anticipate spending all of the $2 million that we had allocated for the project. I think you'll be very impressed with the results. The comments we've received on it have been very, very positive, and again, the final touches are going there today, from pavement markings to the tree lighting to other things. And our city crews will be decorating downtown for Christmas in the coming weeks, and I think that transition you will appreciate. I know traffic-wise it'll make downtown a little easier to move about as we hope to open Center Street before November 9th to motor vehicle traffic and again, at least have a reprieve from the construction. The challenge beyond that will be some discussion of do we do more? And that's something our City Council will be discussing over the coming months. So if you have an opinion, I'd ask you to share it. Whether you share it with myself, with council members, it is something that I think you'll hear discussion of, and it does cost a lot of money. But from a staff side, we have viewed that as an investment in our community, not just maintenance. There is a lot of infrastructure needs under Center Street, from water lines, stormwater, and sewer that need to be upgraded and replaced regardless of what we do with the top. But I think the improvement to the traffic and pedestrian areas is very important for our downtown's future as well. And I hope you're pleased with the results and will share those comments, good or bad, with us. The last project I'd like to talk about is our W.A. Foster Community Center. We've had a number of conversations on location and replacement and what are we going to do. And I will share, our City Council, after some discussion at their council meeting, their first meeting in November, did take a vote to move our W.A. Foster from its current location over into Meanawell Park. And again, we had a lot of discussion about the right place. The center director there feels that is a very important location. We're next to schools, and I think that we will better serve the community being within Meanawell Park with our community center. Schedule-wise, we're working towards that. The council asked that we look at design build, so we've got to get special permission to do that from the state. So we're working on that process. But our hope is that we would be well into construction and close to opening that center within a 12 to 18-month time frame. So this time next year, we should be making very good progress in terms of construction along that project and look forward to having a new center to dedicate in memory of W.A. Foster. In closing, I would like to tell you that I hope each of you enjoy living and working in Goldsboro and Wayne County. it is a great place to live and grow and share time with your family. Please do what you can to speak well of the community. It really matters. You never know who's sitting beside you at the restaurant or walking along the sidewalk and listening to what you say about the community in which you live. If you say good things about it, they're more apt to relocate here. If you say bad things, they're more apt to move on to the next place. And I've seen that happen in other communities from specific companies telling us what they heard and saw and why they chose to locate to a community or didn't. You matter. Please do what you can to promote our community as a good place to live. If you have questions about city government or things you think that we could help with, please don't hesitate to call my office, 919-580-4330. Anytime, day or night. If we're not there, you can leave a message and we'll follow up with that. Or you can use the Citizen tab on the City of Goldsboro website. So black box, top left corner of the screen when you get to the website. It will send an email directly into the manager's office, and we will respond to that or take action based on your comments or questions that you have. So please don't hesitate to reach out to us if you need us. Finally, I would like to wish each of you a safe and happy Thanksgiving. It's hard to believe that time of the year is here, but we're moving into the holidays. It's a great time of year. It's a time to be with friends and family. But please remember those in our community who have lost loved ones, because they exist here. And it more probably as important is to remember those that are separated from their friends and family, whether private citizen or certainly our service members who are deployed or have loved ones deployed overseas and in harm's way. So please keep those folks in your thoughts and prayers. And again, thank you for supporting the City of Goldsboro.